What if the wildest part of you was never meant to be tamed? Your Lilith sign doesn't just reveal your shadow, it reveals your original power. It's the raw, instinctual truth that got labeled too much, too angry, too seductive, too rebellious, when it was really just too free to be controlled. Lilith shows the part of you that had to be buried to survive, the version of you that felt punished just for existing, the inner fire you were taught to dim, to be loved, approved of, or safe. But this placement was never meant to stay hidden. It's the portal to your most magnetic energy, the you that can't be boxed in, talked over, or watered down. In this video, we're walking through the hidden power of Lilith in every zodiac sign. You'll learn the power you were programmed to bury, the shame you were taught to carry, the ways you've been dimming your wildest self, and how to reclaim the part of you that refuses to shrink. So grab your birth chart, find your Lilith sign, and let's dive in.
Lilith in Aries is the original spark, the wildfire, the battle cry, the sacred scream that said, "No more." This is the part of your soul that came into this life with an unshakable instinct to protect itself, to stand up, to fight back, to not be tamed. But that raw, primal knowing, it scared people. You were born with a fierce drive to lead yourself, to chase what you want without asking permission, to move through the world with unapologetic autonomy. And that made others uncomfortable, especially those who benefited from your silence, compliance, or emotional labor. Somewhere along the line, you were taught that your fire was too much, that your anger was dangerous, that your assertiveness was aggression. And instead of celebrating your instincts, they labeled them selfish, dramatic, or rebellious. So you buried the part of you that refused to be dominated. You learned to question your gut, mute your rage, and shrink your presence just to keep the peace. But Lilith in Aries was never meant to be peaceful. She was meant to be sovereign. This placement carries the energy of the warrior woman who refused to bow, the protector of the self, the initiator of a new lineage where power doesn't mean punishment, and where rage becomes sacred fuel for liberation. You weren't born to be obedient. You were born to remember your right to exist on your own terms. Some of the shame that you have been taught to carry having this placement can be around a fear that choosing yourself makes you selfish or unlovable. Guilt for wanting what you want without needing approval. Shame for being bold, loud, fast, or too much. Anxiety around being called bossy, aggressive, or unfeminine. Deep belief that love requires self-sacrifice. A lingering sense that your passion might push people away. You may have been called difficult, too blunt, hard to love. And so you learned to second guess your desires. You turned your rage inward. You apologized for your aliveness. But the truth is that your fire isn't destructive. It's directive. You weren't meant to ask for the throne. You are the throne. Some ways that you've been hiding this power without even realizing it is that you let others take the lead, even when you know what's best. You water down your confidence to seem more approachable. You silence your anger instead of letting it teach you. You wait for permission instead of trusting your instincts. You exhaust yourself proving you're not selfish. You take care of everyone else to avoid being seen as demanding. You might be everyone's cheerleader, but secretly resent how no one cheers for you. Lilith in Aries wants you to reclaim your flame, not by burning bridges, but by lighting the path forward. Lilith in Aries isn't just self-love. This is energetic self-ownership. To embody Lilith in Aries, you must unlearn the belief that strength makes you unlovable. You are not too much. You are exactly enough to break cycles, birth movements, and blaze trails. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract that says choosing yourself makes you bad. Say it out loud. I am allowed to want more. I am allowed to lead. I am allowed to exist without apology. The world doesn't need a softer version of you. It needs your full voltage. Next is to reclaim the voice that was told to pipe down. Stop editing your truth. Your fire is how the divine speaks through you. Every time you express yourself freely, you activate permission for others to do the same. Next is to let your anger be a compass, not a curse. Your anger is not dangerous. It's sacred. It tells you where your boundaries were crossed, where your power was stolen, where your passion was caged. Listen to it. Next is to stop apologizing for your needs. You don't have to earn the right to want. You don't need to justify your hunger for more. Let your desires be sacred again. Next is to choose bold action over quiet resentment. Don't wait for someone else to give you the green light. Be the one who goes first. Be the one who says yes to themselves without guilt. And finally, redefine what leadership means. You're not here to control others. You're here to model what freedom looks like. Lead with integrity. Blaze with purpose. And let your life be the revolution your ancestors never got to see. A great affirmation for your Lilith in Aries energy is, I am not too much. I am the match. I ignite timelines with my presence, and I lead by being unapologetically alive. Be sure to let me know what part hit home for you in the comments below. And of course, tap like if you felt called out in a good way. Pass it on to your besties and subscribe to keep growing with me. And the most magnetic version of you is already within. My higher self activation audio and workbook helps her to rise. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Taurus is the raw, magnetic, embodied version of you that remembers she is the garden, not just something to be picked, consumed, or possessed. This placement holds deep memory of lifetimes where your sensuality, softness, or ability to magnetize abundance made you a target. Envied, objectified, or violated. You were punished not for what you did, but simply for existing in a body that radiated worth, pleasure, and presence. So you learned to disconnect, to suppress your appetite, to trade embodiment for approval, to believe that safety comes from self-denial, overgiving, or controlling your own needs before anyone else can. But Lilith in Taurus is the part of you that never forgot your power to call in love, beauty, and pleasure without compromise. It's the version of you who can trust your own body, value, and desires without guilt, shame, or fear of punishment. You weren't born to hustle for what you're meant to magnetize. You weren't meant to be tamed, silenced, or bought. You are the altar. And Lilith is the instinct that dares to reclaim it. Now, with this placement comes some of the shame that you were taught to carry. So this could be around that your physical beauty or sensuality is dangerous. That being too much in your body invites harm or judgment. That needing rest, pleasure, or security makes you weak or selfish. That you have to earn your worth through productivity or self-sacrifice. That your needs are excessive, inconvenient, or unattractive. That safety comes from control, not softness. This programming taught you to second-guess your hunger, to fear indulgence, to shame your natural rhythms and instincts, to distrust comfort because every time you claimed it, someone tried to take it from you. Now, some ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is through over-explaining your worth in relationships, jobs, or creative work. Feeling guilty for relaxing or taking time for yourself. Being overly generous or materially self-sacrificing to avoid abandonment. Staying in survival mode even when stability is available. Over-controlling your finances, body, or eating habits. Distrusting your own sense of pleasure or comfort. You might present as grounded and calm, but underneath is a raw, instinctual version of you that craves softness, beauty, rest, intimacy, and permission to receive without shame. Now, this isn't just about nervous system healing. It's energetic reclamation. To embody Lilith in Taurus, you must unlearn the belief that your worth is earned through suffering, silence, or overgiving. You are not here to prove your value. You are the value. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract that says you must be enough to be safe. Say it out loud. I am worthy because I exist. You don't need to work harder, give more, or be perfect to deserve peace, pleasure, or prosperity. Let yourself receive without guilt. Let your existence be abundant, even when you're still becoming. Next is to reclaim the sensual power that was shamed or stolen. Your body is a sacred altar, not a battlefield. Reconnect to your senses, your rhythms, your appetite for beauty and touch. You are allowed to want softness. You are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to take up space in this life. Next is to stop earning love through emotional labor. You don't need to be the rock for everyone else. Your presence is healing, not your self-sacrifice. Let go of relationships that only value your stability but ignore your soul. You deserve to be supported, not just leaned on. Next is to redefine security without self-abandonment. Safety isn't the same as playing small. You don't have to betray your truth to maintain comfort or consistency. Build a life rooted in soul security, one that honors your evolving needs, not just your old survival strategies. Next is to trust the voice that tells you this isn't enough. Your dissatisfaction is divine intel. If something feels off, constrictive, or underwhelming, it is. Don't gaslight your body's signals. Let your intuition guide you toward environments, people, and choices that expand you. And finally, let receiving be your spiritual practice. You're not here to struggle your way to peace. Practice receiving with open palms, open heart, and zero justification. Let the earth remind you there is no shame in being sustained. A great affirmation for your Lilith and Taurus energy is, I do not need to prove my worth. I am the ground. I am the gold. I am the garden I was taught to neglect, and I bloom now without apology. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And if your chart's been nodding along, be sure to hit like, share the love, and subscribe so we can do this again. And if love has ever made you feel like you weren't enough, my Venus Activation Prompt Journal will help you rewrite that narrative from the inside out. It's time to make peace with your past and reclaim your power. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Gemini holds the power of unfiltered expression. This is the version of you who sees through the noise, speaks uncomfortable truths, and questions what everyone else accepts. Your voice isn't just communication, it's rebellion. Your mind is wired for multidimensional thinking, for storytelling that disrupts, for curiosity that can't be controlled. But in a world that rewards silence, you were taught to shut up, stay agreeable, and not ask too many questions. You were punished for being too smart, too clever, too observant, or too outspoken. You may have learned that your thoughts were dangerous, your ideas too chaotic, your voice too risky. This placement carries the memory of being silenced in a past life, or even this one, of being mocked, labeled dramatic, or gaslit for simply noticing patterns no one else wanted to see. You don't just process information. You alchemize it into meaning, connection, and liberation. At your core, you were born to think freely, speak boldly, and challenge the narratives handed down to you. But somewhere along the way, you were taught that your voice was a weapon, that your questions were too much, that your intelligence, wit, or outspokenness made you annoying, difficult, too intense, or even a liability. This programming didn't always look like obvious silencing. It may have been subtle, being laughed at when you asked deep or strange questions, being punished for talking back when all you did was speak your truth, being told you were too curious, too sensitive, or too dramatic. You learned that safety came through silence, that being smart meant being strategic, that asking the wrong question at the wrong time could cost you love, approval, or even your sense of belonging. The truth is, Lilith in Gemini is here to liberate the mind, not just yours, but the collective's. Your wildness is in your words. Your gift is in the way you name what others are afraid to name. Your medicine is your multidimensional voice, poetic, disruptive, hilarious, piercing, and raw. The part of you they tried to silence is the part of you we need most. Lilith in Gemini is your sacred disruptor, the one who plays with language like magic, the one who refused to play dumb to make others comfortable. The challenge with this placement is that your power lies in your mind, but so do your blocks. You may overthink, second guess, or talk yourself out of your own intuition. You may constantly edit, rehearse, and rewrite your truth because at some point you learned it wasn't safe to just say it like it is. You might also downplay your intelligence or hide your inner knowing to avoid sounding crazy, too intense, or all over the place. There's an inherited belief that if you speak too much, ask too much, or challenge too much, you'll be rejected. You were likely shamed for being curious, for expressing controversial ideas, or for using your voice in unconventional ways. So you learned to be clever, but not threatening, articulate, but palatable, smart, but not too smart. And the real tragedy is that you started believing your brilliance had to be diluted to be loved. Some of the ways that you've been hiding this energy without even realizing it is you may apologize before you speak. You preface your opinions with, I don't know if this makes sense, but you intellectualize emotions instead of feeling them. Talking about your pain is easier than actually processing it. You may have become the observer, not the participant, using wit or humor to dodge deeper intimacy. You may water down your writing, your art, or your voice to fit into an algorithm or audience expectation. You may use your voice for others, such as advocacy, education, or social commentary, but struggle to own it fully for yourself. You may silence yourself in relationships to avoid conflict, even when something feels off. You may censor your spiritual experiences or psychic downloads because you think people won't get it. You've built your safety on being likable, clever, or relatable, but your true power is in being unapologetically multidimensional. This is about reclaiming your mental and vocal sovereignty. Lilith in Gemini isn't just about speaking. It's about refusing to bite your tongue for comfort's sake ever again. The first step to achieving this is to name the lies that muzzled you. Say them out loud. I was taught that my thoughts were too much, that my voice was dangerous, that my truth would get me abandoned. Then say, I release those lies. You were never meant to be small-minded or silent. You came to ask forbidden questions and speak truths that rattle cages. Next is to let your voice be messy and magic. Start creating without a filter. Write the thing. Say the thing. Share your unpopular opinion. Start the podcast. Write the poem. Say it like it wants to come out, not how you think it should. You don't need a polished point. You just need permission. Next is to turn thought spirals into power sources. Instead of spiraling in self-doubt, channel your Gemini mind into creative problem solving, multi-dimensional communication, and spiritual dialogue. Your mind is not a prison, it's a portal. Next is to practice psychic listening. This Lilith placement holds intuitive intelligence through language. Begin asking your higher self questions and writing down the answers. Let your mind become the translator for your soul. Automatic writing is your shadow integration tool. And finally, claim your wild intellect without apology. You are not too much. You are too tuned in. You don't need to be digestible. You're here to be disruptive. Own your paradoxes. Speak your spiritual truths. Be the mirror that others avoid and the voice that wakes them up. A great affirmation for your Lilith in Gemini placement is, I release the shame of being misunderstood. I reclaim the part of me that speaks truth without asking for permission. My mind is my magic. My voice is my power. My words are sacred. I am no longer afraid of being too much. All right, your turn. What part called you out the most? Drop it in the comments. I want to know. And of course, if this lit you up, be sure to hit like, share it with your soul squad, and subscribe so you never miss the next download. And if you've been asking, who even am I anymore? My As Above, So Within journal is your mirror, helping you decode your chart and get honest about what you truly want. So be sure to tap the link below to begin. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Cancer carries the raw, untamed power of the Divine Mother archetype, but not in her gentle form. This is the fierce protector, the soul-level nurturer who remembers what it means to hold sacred space, channel ancestral wisdom, and feel everything with no filter. You were born with an intuitive radar that picks up the emotions no one else dares to speak. The version of you that knew how to care, heal, and create belonging without needing permission. But this kind of emotional intelligence made people uncomfortable. Your instincts were labeled too much. Your devotion was dismissed as clingy, your intuition as crazy, your tenderness as weak. You were punished, whether subtly or overtly, for feeling deeply, for loving unconditionally, for wanting to protect what others couldn't even recognize as sacred. So you adapted. You buried your inner nurturer beneath sarcasm, emotional walls, or hyper-independence. You learned to scan every room, take care of everyone else, and ignore your own unmet needs. You taught yourself to be emotionally self-contained, even when all you wanted was to be held the way you held everyone else. Lilith in Cancer remembers lifetimes where the feminine wisdom of care, intuition, and feeling was punished or exiled. So you may carry deep wounds around abandonment, betrayal by family, or being scapegoated for making things emotional. In this life, your challenge is to reclaim emotional softness without shame and to honor your capacity for care as power, not a liability. This is the wild soul healer, the sacred mother without a manual, the part of you that knows how to love people back into wholeness, starting with yourself. Now, with this placement, the shame you were taught to carry is around the belief that vulnerability makes you weak or dependent, fear that your emotional needs are burdensome or will scare people away, guilt for prioritizing your own feelings after years of caretaking everyone else, shame for craving intimacy, comfort, and unconditional love, self-silencing instincts to avoid being too much, hyper-attunement to others' moods, but emotional disconnection from your own. You internalize the belief that caretaking equals love, but you were never taught how to receive it in return. Now, some ways that you've been hiding this energy without even realizing it. So you've become the therapist in relationships, but struggle to ask for help. You pride yourself on being the strong one, even when you're breaking inside. You build emotional fortresses instead of homes. You read between the lines in every conversation, but hesitate to express your true needs. You prioritize peace over truth, protection over connection. You chase safety in others instead of building it inside yourself. Lilith in Cancer hides behind hypervigilance and emotional independence, but she's aching to be seen in her softness. This isn't just emotional healing. It's lineage liberation. To fully reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that feeling deeply is dangerous or shameful. You are not here to be the emotional container for everyone else's wounds. You are here to rewrite the rules of love and care, starting from within. The first step to achieving this is to reclaim the contract of sacred nourishment. Say it out loud. I release the contract that says I must neglect myself to be loved. You are no one's emotional dumping ground. Your empathy is sacred. Your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. Next is to create rituals of emotional receiving. Build space in your life where your only job is to feel and receive. Whether it's taking baths, writing letters to your inner child, or practicing asking for support. Allow yourself to be held. You were never meant to do it all alone. Next is to let the soft parts speak louder. Speak your needs out loud. Let your vulnerability be visible. Tell the truth when you're hurting. Practice the sacred rebellion of saying, I need help, or I feel overwhelmed, without shame or apology. Next is to interrupt the martyrdom loop. Watch when you begin self-sacrificing or managing everyone's emotions to keep the peace. Ask yourself, who taught me that love means disappearing? Then choose to stay visible, even when it's uncomfortable. Next is to become the mother you never had. Whether or not your mother was nurturing, you get to become the mother your soul craved. Speak to yourself with tenderness. Make decisions from protection and love. Let your inner child feel safe in your own presence. And finally, redefine home as a feeling, not a role. Home is not where you are needed. It's where you are nourished. Home is not a place you serve. It's a feeling you deserve. Begin building it inside of you, brick by emotional brick. A great affirmation for your Lilith and Cancer placement is, I am safe to feel deeply, love fiercely, and receive fully. My emotions are not a weakness. They are the legacy I am here to heal. What's the one part you're still thinking about? Be sure to leave it in the comments below. And of course, give this video a thumbs up, pass it to your astrology besties, and subscribe for more cosmic truths. And you don't have to keep chasing connection to feel chosen. My Venus Activation Journal walks you through healing the parts of you that forgot you were the prize. Start your new love story through the link below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Leo is pure, untamed solar power. It is the creative fire that burns for no one's approval. The voice that was never meant to whisper. The joy that radiates from your bones when you stop hiding, apologizing, or editing who you are. This placement carries the memory of a version of you that knew she was worthy of being seen and didn't wait for permission. But that light scared people. Somewhere along the line, whether in childhood, past lives, or your ancestral line, you learned that shining too brightly invited judgment. That being too bold, too expressive, too magnetic made you a target. You were punished for your confidence, diminished for your passion, mocked for your dreams. So you learned to dim your fire to keep the peace. You might have been told you were too loud, too dramatic, too much. Or maybe your brilliance was simply ignored, leaving you emotionally starved for validation. Either way, the message became clear. Your joy was conditional. Your visibility came with risk. And you internalized the belief that love meant shrinking. Lilith in Leo holds the wound of the performer who was never truly seen, the leader who wasn't allowed to lead, the inner child whose creativity was praised only when it was convenient. You learned to survive by hiding your brilliance behind humor, overwork, people-pleasing, or strategic silence. But you were never meant to stay behind the curtain. This placement is about reclaiming unapologetic self-expression, not for applause, but as your divine birthright. With this placement, some of the shame you were taught to carry are around fear that your desires are selfish or attention-seeking. Shame around being expressive, opinionated, or wanting to be seen. Belief that being humble means being invisible. Internalized conditioning that equates confidence with arrogance. Self-sabotage when success or visibility starts to grow. You were taught to believe that power is dangerous and joy must be earned. But your soul came here to light up the room, not hide in the shadows. Some ways that you've been hiding this energy without even realizing it is you may downplay your gifts to be more relatable. You wait to be chosen instead of choosing yourself. You use humor or charisma to deflect vulnerability. You over-deliver, but hesitate to receive credit. You become the supporting act in everyone else's show. You bury your deepest passions under being realistic. Lilith in Leo hides in the places you've been praised for not needing attention. But the truth is, your presence is the message. You are the art. Now, this isn't just about self-expression. It's soul resurrection. To fully reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that love is conditional on your humility, invisibility, or usefulness. You're not here to earn your light. You are the light, and your joy is sacred. The first step to achieving this is to revoke the contract that taught you to shrink. Say it aloud. I release the contract that says I must dim my light to be loved. You were never meant to tone yourself down for anyone's comfort. You came to ignite others by being fully lit. Next is to unlearn survival through performance. Identify where you performed for love, praise, or acceptance. Ask yourself, who am I performing for? And who would I be if I stopped? Begin practicing joy that isn't performative. Dance in the dark. Sing off key. Create just for you. Next is to let your inner child take center stage. Reconnect to the version of you who loved to play, tell stories, perform, or imagine wild futures. Validate her voice. Let her interrupt your seriousness with glitter, silliness, and big dreams. She is the key to your soul's originality. Next is to interrupt the fear of being too much. When you feel the urge to shrink or silence yourself, ask, who taught me I was only lovable when I was small? Then choose expansion. Say what you mean. Let yourself be seen, even if your voice shakes. Next is to become the praise you were starved for. Stop waiting for others to validate your power. Stand in the mirror and say, you are brilliant. You are worthy. You light up every room you walk into. Make self-celebration your spiritual practice. And finally, redefine spotlight as soul alignment. Visibility isn't vanity, it's vibration. Let yourself be seen, not for ego, but for embodiment. When you stop dimming, you give others permission to rise too. Your boldness is healing. A great affirmation for your Lilith in Leo placement is, my joy is divine. My expression is sacred. I am not too much. I am the fire this world forgot it needed. Be sure to let me know what clicked for you and drop it in the comments below. And of course, give this video some love, share it with your soul tribe, and subscribe for more magic. And a single session with me can change how you see yourself forever. So I'm ready when you are. The link to book with me is below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Virgo holds the wild wisdom of the sacred priestess, the one who saw the truth beneath the surface, healed through her hands and mind, and moved through life with ritual precision. She was the medicine woman, the soul surgeon, the code breaker. But her power made others uncomfortable because it couldn't be controlled. This placement remembers what it's like to be exiled for knowing too much, for seeing through illusions, for questioning authority, for using your intellect and your intuition to disrupt what was normal. Lilith in Virgo often comes with a lineage of being scapegoated for having high standards, noticing what no one else did, or setting boundaries others refused to honor. So you learned to make yourself smaller. You began editing your instincts. You over-explained, over-apologized, over-analyzed. You replaced your power with perfectionism, your intuition with self-doubt. Somewhere along the way, you decided that being right was safer than being real. Because when you let your rawness show, you were rejected. But the truth is, the wildest part of your soul is the one that sees clearly. And your clarity isn't cruelty. It's medicine. With this placement, some of the shame you were taught to carry is around guilt for expressing frustration or emotional messiness. Feeling like your value is only in what you do, not who you are. Fear of being wrong, sloppy, or too much. Internalized rules about how to behave, serve, or speak in order to be respected. A voice in your head constantly asking, did I do it perfectly enough? Shame for needing rest, pleasure, or softness. You were programmed to overfunction and under-receive. But your power was never in being palatable. It was in being precise, intuitive, and honest. Some of the ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is you may overcorrect and criticize yourself before anyone else can. You silence your intuition under a pile of logic and overthinking. You micromanage everything as a trauma response to chaos. You seek control in routines and rituals, but forget the why behind them. You suppress your sensuality because it feels unproductive. You mistake self-erasure for humility. Lilith in Virgo doesn't want you to be perfect. She wants you to be in integrity with your body, your voice, and your knowing. This isn't just healing perfectionism. It's releasing spiritual servitude and reclaiming sacred discernment. To fully step into this placement, you must unlearn the belief that your worth lies in being clean, composed, or correct. You're not here to be neat. You're here to be necessary. Your medicine was never meant to be watered down. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract of self-erasure. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I must be perfect to be valuable. You are not here to fix everything. You are here to feel, discern, and embody truth in your own raw, sacred way. Next is to reclaim sacred rage and radical discernment. Give yourself permission to say, no, this doesn't feel aligned. Virgo Lilith needs space to reject what drains her, to speak truth without over-explaining, to trust that her knowing doesn't require consensus. Next is to create rituals that serve you. You've used structure to stay safe. Now use it to stay sovereign. Build rhythms that honor your body, not just your mind. Let your routines nourish, not punish you. Choose devotion over duty. Next is to let pleasure be productive. Allow your senses to lead. Scent, softness, slowness. These are forms of power. When you stop shaming yourself for needing beauty, rest, or intimacy, you unlock the portal to your deepest magic. Next is to stop apologizing for your standards. Your standards aren't too high. They're sacred. You've been taught to shrink them to be accepted. But this is your reminder. Discernment is a spiritual gift, not a character flaw. And finally, rewire your definition of service. Service isn't self-sacrifice. You are allowed to say no, to rest and receive. When you start putting your own healing at the center, your work becomes more powerful, not less. A great affirmation for your Lilith in the Virgo placement is, I am not here to fix the world. I am here to embody what alignment feels like. My intuition is clean. My body is wise. My power is enough without the performance. It's chart confession time. Be sure to let me know what resonated most for you in the comments. And of course, tap that like button, share the vibes, and subscribe so the stars always find you. And if you're craving soul-level clarity and ready to stop spiraling in confusion, a private session will meet you right where you are and help you see what's really next. My booking links are below, so be sure to grab a spot on my calendar. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Libra holds the fierce memory of the woman who stopped playing nice. The version of you that questioned harmony built on suppression, who said, if I have to betray myself to belong, I don't want it. But that refusal came with a cost. You were taught that love meant performance, that being liked meant being small, that being chosen required disappearing. You carry the raw truth that your power once threatened someone's illusion of peace, and instead of choosing yourself, you learned to keep the waters still. You became the pleaser, the peacemaker, the one who made everyone else feel okay, even if it killed you inside. This placement remembers what it's like to be punished for not making things easy, for standing up for fairness in a world addicted to comfort, for being too assertive, too demanding, too unwilling to settle. But your soul didn't come here to perform perfection. It came here to break the spell and teach others that real beauty is built on balance, not betrayal. Some of the shame that you were taught to carry includes guilt around expressing needs, anger, or dissatisfaction, a deep fear of rejection if you speak your truth, shame for being too much in relationships, anxiety when others are upset with you, even if you did nothing wrong, internalized pressure to be pleasing, passive, or polished, feeling like you must earn love by staying agreeable. You were programmed to conflate being loved with being liked. But true intimacy requires truth, and your power lies in honest equilibrium, not emotional appeasement. Some ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is that you may avoid conflict at all cost, even when it means betraying your own needs. You may morph into who others want you to be, fearing disconnection if you don't. You may attract partners, friends, or clients who take more than they give. You may overfocus on how others feel, ignoring your own emotional truth. You may mistake harmony for health, even in toxic dynamics. You may flirt with empowerment, but pull back if it threatens your image. Lilith in Libra is not about being liked. It's about being liberated from the version of love that requires you to lose yourself. This isn't just people-pleasing recovery. It's relational alchemy. To fully reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that connection requires compliance. Your relationships are not your report card. They are your reflection. And when you love yourself enough to stop settling, everything changes. The first step to achieving this is to break the spell of performative peace. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I must shrink to stay loved. You are not here to play the good girl. You're here to model what sacred reciprocity looks like. Let the old version of love die. Next is to relearn the art of disappointing others without abandoning yourself. Disappointment is not a crime. If your truth triggers someone, it's not a betrayal. It's a boundary. Lilith in Libra heals when you stop abandoning yourself just to be understood. Next is to rewrite the script of what beauty means. Your beauty is not compliance. Your magnetism is not meekness. You are radiant because of your rawness, your honesty, and your clarity. You are allowed to be both graceful and grounded in your no. Next is to let desire drive you, not approval. What do you want? Not what you were told to want. Reclaim the desires you buried under politeness. You're not here to mirror others. You're here to move them with your unapologetic elegance. Next is to create relationships that honor your wholeness. Build partnerships, romantic, platonic, or professional, that thrive on balance, not sacrifice. You're not here to fix, smooth over, or carry. You're here to co-create. Choose people who meet you there. And finally, stop apologizing for taking up emotional space. You don't need to justify your pain, joy, clarity, or craving. You don't need to be easy. You just need to be real. The version of you that's honest, even if it's messy, is the most magnetic of all. A great affirmation for your Lilith in Libra placement is, I am not here to be chosen for my silence. I am here to be met in my fullness. I release the idea that I must be pleasing to be worthy. I am already whole, and I choose myself first. Okay, I've shared the tea. Now it's your turn. What resonated? Be sure to comment below. And of course, hit that like button, send this to someone who needs it, and subscribe so the universe keeps sending you these vibes. And if you're done living on autopilot and craving something real, my As Above, So Within astrology prompt journal helps you to meet yourself again through your own astrology. The link to get started is below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Scorpio is the raw, instinctual power that was never meant to be tamed. You were born with a deep knowing of other people's secrets, of what lies beneath the surface, of how energy works even when no one says a word. You feel what others try to hide. And you've carried this intuitive X-ray vision since childhood. But instead of being honored, this power was often punished. You were shamed for your intensity, gaslit for your instincts, labeled too much when you were simply too honest. Somewhere along the way, you learned that it was safer to suppress your passion, your sexuality, your psychic knowing, because when you expressed it, it scared people. Or worse, they tried to use it against you. Lilith in Scorpio carries the memory of being betrayed for knowing too much, of being violated for shining too brightly, of being feared for your ability to see what others couldn't unsee. But you were never meant to play small. You are the firewalker, the shadow alchemist, the sacred seductress. And the world needs your unapologetic depth because your power isn't dangerous. It's divine. Now, some of the shame that you've been taught to carry with this placement is around a fear of being seen as manipulative, jealous, obsessive, or dark. Guilt around sexual desire, emotional need, or craving intimacy. Shame for surviving trauma or being too resilient for your own good. A deep mistrust of others built from real betrayal. Self-protection masquerading as detachment. Feeling like you're only safe if you're in control. This placement has often endured real power abuse. So the shame isn't imagined. It was inherited. But you're here to stop the cycle by refusing to apologize for your depth. Some ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is that you may downplay your emotional depth to make others comfortable. You keep secrets out of fear they'll be weaponized. You engage in power plays in relationships, unconsciously testing loyalty. You may crave deep connection, but push people away to protect yourself. You may suppress your sexual energy or feel guilt after expressing it. You may pride yourself on being unbothered, but secretly long to be understood. Lilith in Scorpio hides not because she's weak, but because her power was once used against her. Healing means no longer punishing yourself for the ways you learned to survive. Now, this isn't just emotional healing. It's soul resurrection. To reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that your power must be hidden to be safe. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to be penetrating in truth, love, and purpose. The first step to achieving this is to reclaim the parts of you that were vilified. Say it out loud. I release the belief that my intensity makes me unlovable. You are not too much. You are the mirror, the magnet, the medicine. Stop apologizing for your fire. Next is to alchemize your shadow. Don't abandon it. The rage, the grief, the obsession. It's not wrong. It's a signal. Instead of hiding it, ask it what it wants to teach you. Your darkness isn't the opposite of your power. It is your power in raw form. Next is to make peace with the parts of you that crave control. Control was your safety net. Let yourself grieve what made you need it. Then shift from control to clarity, from self-protection to self-possession. Let safety come from within, not domination. Next is to heal the sexual shame you didn't choose. Your sexuality is sacred. Start by feeling safe in your own sensual energy. Dance, breathe, touch. You are not a threat. You are a portal. Own your erotic nature without explanation. Next is to rewrite your survival narrative. You've been through things most people couldn't handle, but you're not broken. You are forged. Every time you reclaimed yourself, your soul evolved. Let your survival story become your power source. And finally, let someone all the way in after you've let yourself in first. You don't have to do life alone. Let intimacy be your next level of power, not your undoing. Create relationships where mutual vulnerability equals strength. You deserve love that can handle your depth. A great affirmation for your Lilith and Scorpio energy is, I am no longer hiding to stay safe. I am powerful, sensual, and sovereign, and I no longer need to apologize for surviving. My intensity is not too much. It is my initiation into divine wholeness. If your soul just got a wake-up call, be brave and share it in the comments. And be sure to hit like if your chart feels seen. Send it to someone who needs this clarity, and subscribe for your next cosmic reality check. And a single session with me can change how you see yourself forever. I'm ready when you are, and the link to book with me is below, so be sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Sagittarius is the sacred rebel, the freedom seeker, the wild soul who carries truth in her bones and was never meant to be tamed. You were born with questions that made people uncomfortable, with a hunger for experience that defied cultural expectations, with a knowing that truth is a living, breathing force, not a rule book. But somewhere along the way, your curiosity was shamed, your wisdom was mocked, your fire was labeled reckless, arrogant, or too much. This placement holds the ancestral memory of women who were silenced for questioning authority, exiled for practicing spiritual truths, or punished for not fitting into polite society's definition of good. You learned early that too much honesty could get you in trouble, and that your instinct to roam, question, explore, and tell the truth as you see it might get you rejected, ridiculed, or left behind. But the wildness in you was never the problem. You are the walking bonfire, the embodied oracle, the voice that was never meant to echo, but to lead. Your truth isn't dangerous. It's liberating. Now, some of the shame that you were taught to carry with this placement is around guilt for not wanting a conventional life or settling down. Shame for outgrowing your family's, culture's, or religion's beliefs. Fear of being judged as flaky, ungrateful, unrooted, or delusional. A pattern of making yourself small to avoid being seen as arrogant. Embarrassment around your spiritual gifts, visions, or psychic downloads. A silent ache from having to explain why your dreams don't make sense to anyone else. You were taught that you had to choose between freedom and belonging, between being understood and being true to yourself. But Lilith in Sagittarius is here to break that false binary. Now, some ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is that you may downplay your spiritual beliefs to avoid being dismissed. You stay quiet about your visions or ideas so people don't think you're too much. You over-intellectualize your truth instead of trusting your inner knowing. You self-sabotage when life starts to feel too small or boxed in. You get restless and disappear emotionally rather than explain your desires. You people please to stay relatable, even though your soul wants to soar. Lilith in Sagittarius hides because she's tired of being misunderstood. But it's not your job to shrink. It's your calling to show the way. Now, this isn't just about wanderlust. It's soul liberation. To fully reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that you must conform to be worthy of connection. You're not here to be reasonable. You're here to expand reality. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract that says you must fit in to be loved. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I must dim my truth to belong. You weren't born to be understood. You were born to remember, to reveal, and to ignite awakening in others just by being fully you. Next is to reclaim the visionary you were told to doubt. You've always known more than you were supposed to. Your ideas, beliefs, dreams, they were never random. Start keeping a sacred record of your intuitive downloads, flashes of insight, and spiritual truths. Let your wisdom land. It's real and it's powerful. Next is to let your longing guide you, not shame you. You've been told you want too much, but your longing is sacred. It's the roadmap of your soul. Let it lead you to new places, new beliefs, new ways of being. For you, desire is divine direction. Next is to stop making yourself smaller to be palatable. Stop filtering your voice to sound less out there. Stop apologizing for your ambition, your hunger for life, your refusal to settle. There is nothing small about your soul, and there shouldn't be. Next is to let yourself be the first to say it. Whatever it is, say it. The truth you've been biting back, the belief you thought was too weird to speak out loud, the sacred knowing that defies logic. Lilith in Sagittarius is not afraid to go first. Be the lighthouse. And finally, build a life that doesn't require you to escape. Freedom doesn't mean you always have to leave. Create a home within yourself and your relationships that allows for change, truth, evolution, and honest spiritual fire. You're not too big. You are home to something bigger. A great affirmation for your Lilith and Sagittarius energy is, I am no longer shrinking to stay relatable. My truth is sacred. My vision is valid, and I don't need permission to live out loud. Let's make this a full circle moment. Share your biggest aha or ouch in the comments. And of course, your 3-second ritual, like, share, and subscribe to keep this energy coming your way. And if you've been asking, who even am I anymore? My As Above, So Within journal is your mirror, helping you decode your chart and get honest about what you truly want. So be sure to tap the link below to begin. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Capricorn is the ungovernable architect, the wild strategist, the soul that remembers how powerful it is to build your own world and not just survive in someone else's. This placement carries the energetic memory of lifetimes spent climbing the mountain of external success, only to be punished, overlooked, or scapegoated when you got too close to power. You've been betrayed by the very systems you once upheld. And somewhere along the way, you learned, if I want to be safe, I have to control everything. If I want to be loved, I have to earn it. Lilith in Capricorn was born to disrupt generational control patterns, break toxic success templates, and rewrite the rules of what power really is. But this came at a cost. You were programmed to believe your ambition was cold, your independence was intimidating, your boundaries were selfish, and your authority was unnatural, especially if you were raised as a woman or marginalized identity. You learned to fear your own leadership. You buried your own instincts. You made yourself digestible, responsible, emotionally bulletproof. But underneath all that armor is a sovereign soul who never needed permission to lead. And some of the shame that you were taught to carry having this placement can be around a fear of being seen as cold, rigid, or heartless. Shame around wanting success, influence, or wealth. Deep guilt about saying no, setting boundaries, or choosing yourself. Feeling like your emotions are inconvenient or unprofessional. Self-criticism for resting, receiving, or not doing enough. Hyper-independence, masking a fear of being a burden. You may have been praised for your self-control, but punished the moment you asserted your autonomy. This placement often mirrors parental figures who were emotionally unavailable, hypercritical, or obsessed with appearances. As a result, you learned to earn love through achievement and to treat your softness like a liability. But Lilith in Capricorn wasn't meant to play nice with patriarchal power structures. She came to reclaim sacred leadership, and she does it from within. Now, some ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is that you may silently carry the emotional weight for everyone around you. You avoid asking for help because you fear looking weak. You bury your creative or spiritual callings to be practical. You overwork yourself to feel worthy or in control. You minimize your vision to avoid intimidating others. You hold your emotions in until they become resentment. You've been showing up like the boss, but forgetting you get to be your own. The wild part of you doesn't want to burn out. She wants to build something real. Now, this placement isn't just about trauma healing. It's sovereign redefinition. To fully reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that your worth is tied to your productivity or control. You are not here to prove yourself. You're here to embody divine authority on your terms. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract that says you must earn your worth. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I must be perfect, productive, or in control to be loved. Your soul didn't come here to climb someone else's ladder. It came to build the foundation for a new world. Next is to reclaim the leader you were told was too much. You were never too assertive, too structured, or too strategic. You were just ahead of your time. Let yourself lead from intuition. Let your vision be bold. Let your power speak for itself. Next is to rewire your definition of strength. Real strength isn't emotional suppression. It's emotional self-trust. Let yourself cry and still be in command. Let softness and sovereignty coexist in your world. Next is to honor the part of you that needs to be held. Stop pretending you're fine when you're exhausted. You don't have to hold everyone else up. Start tending to the version of you who's tired of performing. Your vulnerability isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Next is to undo the scarcity programming around time and success. Your timeline is sacred. You don't have to sacrifice your nervous system to be successful. Rest is revolutionary. Structure can be soulful. Burnout is not a badge of honor. And finally, become the inner authority you were always searching for. You're not here to be micromanaged by fear, legacy, or outdated models of success. You're the soul that redefines what legacy even means. So ask yourself, if I didn't need to prove anything, what would I build? A great affirmation for your Lilith and Capricorn placement is, I no longer confuse control with power. I lead with truth, build with purpose, and allow my softness to be my strength. Let's talk about it. What did this unlock for you? Be sure to comment and let it out. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your day ones, and subscribe so the universe keeps us synced. And if you're ready to stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, my Venus Activation Journal guides you back to your center, where love, clarity, and wholeness already live. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Aquarius carries the code of the untamed visionary. This is the part of your soul that remembered the future before the world was ready for it, and got punished for trying to live it too soon. You came in with a frequency that challenged every system of sameness, family traditions, cultural identities, outdated ideologies. Your energy says, I will not conform to be loved. I will not betray my truth for approval. But you were often made to feel like an outsider for that very thing. This placement carries the ancestral imprint of the black sheep, the system disruptor, the truth teller who got cast out of the village. You learned that being fully yourself, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, was dangerous. That if you revealed your real thoughts or visions, you'd be ridiculed, rejected, or abandoned. So you buried your brilliance, doubted your downloads, muted your magic, and tried to mold yourself into something safer. But Lilith in Aquarius was never meant to blend in. She came to electrify what's possible. Now, some of the shame that you were taught to carry with this placement is around the fear of being excluded for your beliefs, ideas, or identity. Shame for being emotionally detached, different, or too weird. Deep mistrust in groups or social systems. Feeling like intimacy will cost you your freedom. Self-abandonment through people-pleasing or intellectualizing emotions. Guilt around not fitting in, even when you tried. You may have been labeled rebellious, emotionless, selfish, or out there. But your rebellion was always rooted in wisdom. Your emotional detachment was often survival. You learned to make yourself palatable, just enough to belong, but not so much that your real power could get you exiled again. But Lilith in Aquarius came to liberate the collective by liberating herself first. Your difference is not the problem. It's actually the portal. Now, some of the ways that you've been hiding this power without even realizing it is that you play the role of the cool, unbothered one to avoid vulnerability. You hide your intuition behind logic or intellect. You downplay your deeper needs in friendships or communities. You emotionally disconnect when things feel too intense. You resist support because you equate freedom with isolation. You tone down your voice to avoid being too much or too out there. You might be the one who always helps others awaken, but secretly feel unseen yourself. Lilith in Aquarius wants you to stop performing neutrality and start embodying radical self-belonging. But this isn't just shadow work. It's frequency liberation. To fully reclaim this placement, you must unlearn the belief that your worth is tied to how normal, helpful, or agreeable you are. You're not here to be liked. You are here to remind the world what it forgot it could be. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract that says you must belong to be safe. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I must fit in to be worthy of love. Your soul didn't come here to blend in. You came to be a signal tower for a higher timeline, one that only activates when you stand in your truth. Next is to reclaim the part of you that's always felt too different. You've been cosmically weird from the start, and that's your magic. Reconnect to the version of you who used to speak to stars, question systems, or see the bigger picture before anyone else. She's still inside you, waiting to lead. Next is to build communities that don't require self-abandonment. Let go of groups, friendships, or spaces that only accept a filtered version of you. Curate your community like a constellation. You don't need many, just the ones who reflect your frequency without distortion. Next is to stop withholding your genius to stay relatable. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be disruptive. Start saying what you really think. Start sharing your wildest ideas. The people who need your message can't find you if you keep watering it down. Next is to let emotional freedom include intimacy. Emotional connection doesn't have to cost you your sovereignty. Practice staying present in relationships without escaping through logic, silence, or detachment. Your heart is electric, and it deserves to be plugged in. And finally, redefine what safe belonging means. Safety doesn't mean sameness. It means self-honoring connection. Create relationships, homes, businesses, and rituals that allow your individuality to expand, not shrink. Your energy is a revolution wrapped in a human body. A great affirmation for your Aquarius Lilith placement is, I no longer fear being different. My frequency is a key, and I set myself free. If this stirred something in you, say so in the comments. I want to hear it. And of course, your 3-second ritual. Like, share, and subscribe to keep this energy coming your way. And if you've been saying, I just need someone to help me make sense of it all, I've got you. A private session with me goes deep into your chart and brings it all into focus. So be sure to check it out. My booking link is right below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Lilith in Pisces carries the energy of the mystic, the dreamer, empath, and intuitive healer who came into this world remembering what unconditional love feels like. You were born with an open heart and a natural connection to the divine, but the world around you wasn't built for that kind of sensitivity. This placement holds the memory of lifetimes where your compassion was exploited, your empathy mistaken for weakness, and your intuition silenced in favor of logic or control. You may have learned that your feelings were too much, your dreams unrealistic, or your faith foolish. So you learn to hide your softness, to numb your sensitivity, to escape into fantasy, or to drown out your pain with distraction. But Lilith in Pisces was never meant to disappear. You came to remind the world that feeling deeply is not fragility, it's power. You are the bridge between worlds, the vessels for what others cannot yet see, the one who turns pain into poetry, chaos into compassion, and endings into rebirth. Now, some of the shame that you have been taught to carry having this placement can be around guilt for wanting to escape when life feels overwhelming, shame for being too sensitive, emotional, or naive, confusion between love and sacrifice, fear of being taken advantage of when you open your heart, doubt about your own intuition or spiritual gifts, belief that boundaries make you unkind or unspiritual. You may have been told to stop crying, get over it, or be realistic. Somewhere along the way, you begin to equate love with suffering and healing with self-erasure. You learn to overgive, overforgive, and overemphasize because that's what love looked like in the worlds you were born into. But Lilith in Pisces came to destroy the illusion that self-abandonment is holy. Your compassion is sacred, but only when it includes you. Now, some ways that you've been hiding your power without even realizing it is through spiritual bypassing instead of feeling what hurts, taking on others' pain to avoid facing your own, saying yes when your intuition screams no, confusing peace with avoidance, idealizing people who mirror your wounds rather than your worth, escaping through fantasy, daydreaming, or constant distraction. You've been disappearing into emotional fog, trying to save everyone but yourself. But the truth is that your energy was never meant to rescue. It was meant to restore. Lilith in Pisces wants you to stop drifting and start directing your magic with intention. Now, this placement isn't just about emotional healing. It's divine reclamation. To embody this placement fully, you must unlearn the belief that love requires suffering, that healing means disappearing, and that spirituality must be pure to be powerful. You're not here to float You are here to channel. The first step to achieving this is to break the contract that says love must hurt. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I must sacrifice myself to be loved. You are not here to carry the pain of the collective. You are here to transmute it. Next is to reclaim your sensitivity as your superpower. Your empathy isn't a curse. It's sacred intelligence. Let your emotions inform you, not drown you. When you stop running from your feelings, they become the very thing that guides your purpose. Next is to build boundaries that protect your peace, not punish others. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to choose solitude without shame. True compassion begins when your energy feels safe inside your own body. Next is to ground your spiritual gifts in the physical world. Channel your intuition into art, writing, service, or healing work. The divine speaks through you, but it needs you anchored in the present to deliver its message. Next is to forgive yourself for escaping when you didn't know how to stay. There was a time when disappearing was the only way you knew how to survive. Honor that, but you don't have to live in exile anymore. Your body, your emotions, your dreams, they are all safe places now. And finally, choose embodiment over evasion. You don't have to ascend. You have to arrive. Bring heaven down into your daily life. Feel your divinity not in escape, but in presence. That's where your real magic lives. A great affirmation for your Lilith in Pisces placement is, I am safe to feel. I am safe to dream. I am safe to be divine in a human body. My softness is sacred. My boundaries are holy. And my love heals worlds. This is your cosmic check-in. Drop your thoughts and takeaways in the comments. And if you love what you heard, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe so the algorithm and the universe keep delivering. And when the same patterns keep repeating, it's not random. It's written. A one-on-one chart session with me helps you decode the messages your soul has been trying to send you. All my links are below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching.